So the DJI Mavic Air 2 came out last year in April 2020, and then most recently we have the DJI Mini 2, which came out in November in 2020. Now I actually did an in-depth review on both these right here, so if you guys want to see more details on either one of these, make sure you guys check out the links down below, as well as I'll link them up above. I go into a lot of details of all of the specs on each one of these drones. And when the Air 2 did come out, I did talk about that this is probably still one of the best all-around drones. And then the Mini 2 came out and had very similar specs to the Air 2. However, of course, it's coming in a compact size. So a lot of questions what people ask is, which one do I recommend, the Mini 2 or the Air 2? So in this video, I just want to talk to you guys about some of the main features after I've been flying them for the past few months now, as far as how I use them. Now, I'm not going to go into every single detail, every single spec that they have. Like I mentioned earlier, I have a full in-depth review on each one, but I just want to talk to you guys about some of the top points that I felt was the differences between the two, and maybe you guys might be able to get some value from that if you're making a decision on which one to get. But first, a quick word from our sponsor, Storyblocks. And for those who aren't familiar with Storyblocks, Storyblocks is an online membership plan that allows you to have unlimited downloads of over 1 million royalty-free assets. Now, some of those assets include HD and 4K video, and what a lot of people don't know is that Storyblocks actually has After Effects and Adobe Premiere templates. Now, the main reason why I've been using Storyblocks a lot recently is because they do have that unlimited download option. Now, this is key to give you that flexibility to download a bunch of different assets to see what might work best in your story. Now, one of the most recent projects I'm on at work was doing a promo video about some of the vaccine rollouts that they wanted to talk about in a little email newsletter. So what I was able to do is just go onto Storyblocks, type in the word vaccine, and here you go. We have a bunch of different types of assets, whether it be photo or video, that I'm able to use and put into these small marketing pieces. So I do like the fact that Storyblocks does have a lot of content out there for you to use. That way I'm able to download some of these clips, add a little text overlay, and here you go. Now I have a small little marketing piece that I was able to use. So if you do want to bring your stories to life and you don't want to be restricted too much by your budget, as well as how many downloads you can have, because they do have unlimited downloads, make sure you guys check out my link down below in the video description. And now back to the video. And before we get into those main differences, let's just quickly talk about some of the similarities of these two drones. Now, first and foremost, the biggest upgrade from the Mini 1 to the Mini 2 is that OcuSync 2 technology, the same transmission system that the Air 2 have. And the great thing about this is that you can actually use one remote control for both of them. So if you want to sync this one up and use it for the Air 2, the same remote will actually be used for the Mini 2. So good thing that they do share the OcuSync 2 technology, and they actually do share a remote control. And as far as aperture goes, that's also similar, 2.8 on both of these right here. Field of view, 83 degrees, 84 degrees on the Air 2. When it comes down to flight time, 30 plus minutes on both. We have 31 plus here on the Mini 2. 34 rated on the Air 2. I've done flight tests on both these as far as just some basic hover tests. Make sure you guys check out those videos if you want to see it. And as far as photo video goes, they both shoot 12 megapixel photo JPEG and RAW. The one thing about the Air 2 is that they do have that quad Bayer filter that allows you to do a 48 megapixel photo. However, still high quality on both of these, and they both shoot in 4K. Now, as far as the video goes, the enhancement of the Air 2 is a little bit better. Of course, it has things like HDR. Even though I don't use that HDR that often, it does have it, as well as it does have that picture profile of Cine-like. So if you do a little bit more post-processing and editing, it does have that flat profile that the Mini 2 does not have. So now let's go into those differences between the two platforms that I feel are pretty much like some of the top things to note when you're trying to choose between these two. Now, the first thing that always comes up is, hey, I only have X amount of money to spend. Which one do you recommend? Well, if money is going to be, of course, the first issue that you are worried about, then the Mini 2 is going to be the absolute best way to go because it is the most affordable way to go. Now, as far as price-wise goes, drone itself, as far as drone and remote control, we're talking about $450 here, all the way up to $800 for the Air 2. And if you guys know my videos, I always recommend getting the Fly More combo because you have extra batteries in there. So if you do get the Fly More combo, you're talking about $600 here versus about $1,000 here. The next thing we'll take in consideration as far as the differences is the obstacle avoidance. Now, if you're the type that really want to have a drone that can follow you, that can avoid objects, then you're going to want to move up to the Air 2. The Air 2 does have the front and bottom sensors, where the Mini 2 only has these bottom sensors right here. So we don't have some of those things that the Air 2 have, the follow me modes, the active track modes, all of those things. So if that's something that you have on your list as far as like a must have, I have to have a drone that follows me, or if I go hiking or if I go biking, I want to be able to have this thing track me, then if that's your priority, you're gonna need to move up to something like the Air 2. Now, if you're looking at video quality, both these have exceptional video quality. They both shoot 4K. The one difference with the Air 2 is that you do have a little bit higher of a frame rate. So if you did want to shoot in 4K, 60 frames a second, you're able to do that on the Air 2. This one right here, the Mini 2, is limited to 4K at 30 frames a second. Now, when it comes to automated features like Quickshots, the great thing is that both of these do have Quickshot modes on the Mini 2 and the Air 2. That's also something that I really like using. Every time you go to a location, you always want to have a nice establishing shot. So the great thing about the Mini 2, it does have quick shots in there, so you're able to do things like droney, circle, helix. A lot of those things are really good for getting those establishing shots and not having to worry about it. Everything is automated. So the Mini 2 and the Air 2 both have the quick shots. If you're the type of flyer that focuses a lot more on sunrise, sunset, or anything in lower light, the Air 2 does have a little bit bigger of a sensor compared to the Mini 2. So if that's going to be an issue for you, if you find yourself that you need higher quality in low light scenarios, you're going to want to go with something like the Air 2. And if you need even better quality than this, you're going to want to jump up to something like the Mavic 2 Pro. Now, one of the biggest differences, of course, you can see here is the size and the weight. Now, this is something you're going to want to take into consideration, mainly because this right here, the Mini 2, weighs 249 grams. This right here weighs 570 grams. That's the reason why size and weight is a big difference, because of the fact that if you do have a lot of regulations about having a drone that's above 250 grams, then this right here sits right below that threshold. So it makes it a lot easier to be able to get out there and fly without having to worry about that restriction. Of course, that restriction is just about the weight. You still have all the other standard FAA flying rules that you have to abide by about flying over people, how far, line of sight, all those good things still apply to whatever drone you fly. But as far as some of the regulations go with weight, you are now able to get a little bit under that weight limit of 250 grams by getting something like this, which is the Mini 2, under 250. It actually comes out to about 240 when you weigh this thing out. So it does come well under that 250 gram mark. Now, as far as the regulations go, that does help you. But now if you are in a place that has higher wind or in higher elevation, you're gonna want something that has a little bit more powerful motors like the Air 2. Now, even though the Mini 2 can still take on a lot of wind and high elevations, but you're gonna wanna have something with a lot stronger motors like the Air 2, just to get you through those times where that weight is really gonna help you sit in the air nice and stable, versus this, a lot lighter, easily gets tossed around a lot. The Air 2 has a little bit more weight, stronger motors, so if you are flying at higher altitudes or in wind, you're gonna wanna jump up to something like the Air 2. And there it is, guys, just some of the key features I felt were the biggest kind of questions that would always come up as far as what's the difference between the Mini 2 and the Air 2, what would you recommend? Why, do you recommend certain ones over the other? So hopefully I was able to answer some of those questions that normally will come up, but if I didn't, make sure you guys check out the in-depth reviews on both of these where I go over all the features that each one has to offer. So like I've talked about before, if you are new to drones and fairly new to like photo video, I would always start with something like this, the Mini 2. It comes in at the most affordable price point, and plus it just gets you introduced into the space without really breaking the bank if you were to jump up into the fly more combos, spending over $1,000 for something like this. Now, if you do have photo video experience already and you just want to add a flying camera to your tool set, I would definitely move up to something like the Air 2. Has a little bit more flexibility, higher quality with the larger sensor, things like the flat profile with D-Cinelike. So you have more options here on the Air 2 than you would on the Mini 2. And that's about it, guys. Just want to give you a rundown of what I felt was some of the top differences between these two drones. Hopefully you guys got some value out of that if you are doing some research, trying to figure out which one do I get. Again, just want to give a shout out to our sponsor of this video, Storyblocks. If you guys want to take advantage and get unlimited downloads, check out Storyblocks, link down below in the video description. You'll have access to over 1 million royalty-free assets. Make sure you guys check out Storyblocks. As always, if you guys got some value from this video, don't forget to hit that like button. And as always, don't forget to subscribe. Hit that bell to be notified when I post new videos. This is Ultra Anastasio with FlytPath.com. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.